Hey guys, welcome back to another video with Feb. So last video we went riding over at CC Andrews, and I like to do maintenance on the bike roughly around 4 to 8 hours, and I went riding for about 4 hours, 5 hours, and then we went riding a couple days before that as I was doing some test footage, trying to get comfortable with this whole new GoPro thing. So it's time to do some maintenance on the bike. So usually around this time I do the valve timing, so I replace the shims and get the timing where it needs to be. I usually touch up the carburetor. I usually try to touch up the chain, give it the chain and the sprocket a nice good cleaning, and then probably just grease up any bearings that need to be greased up. That way the bike is still running good and we have no issues. So let's go ahead and jump right in and start getting things done. So first things first, what we got to take care of is getting rid of these. As we can see here, I'm missing some bolts. Some bolts came out while I was riding, so I had to actually use some zip ties. I lost them on both sides, as you can probably see there. But usually the way we start off with this whole thing is by taking off the whole seat, and once we get the whole seat off, we go ahead and take off the gas tank, and then we kind of get in and do the work. I might actually change the air filter too, now that I think about it. It has been in there all winter, probably could be used be greased up a little bit. I have a spare one that's already cleaned and ready to go in, so we'll probably throw that in and just clean the other one. So one quick little tip I like to do is I always like to have a little kind of a base station or a place to put all my tools. So as you can see here, we went ahead and I got my little tray where I like to put all my tools that I'm using. All my sockets go usually up in the front, top or front or whatever you want to call it, and then all my screws for the bike actually go in there. That way it's a little organized and it's a little easier for me to kind of get what I need, and I don't have to worry about where everything went, because that's the worst when you lose something and you're like, where the heck did I put it? So that makes life so much easier. All right, so these are the nice lovely oiling and cleaning tubs. I have got them from motorsport.com. They are really great for the situations like this. So I have one with oil to oil up the filter, and one for a cleaner. So I clean one. I basically have a rotation of the two. So let's go ahead and get this little mixed around a little bit. So I have a mixture of the two. Not a mixture, I have one container for both. Should clarify that. And then I rotate my oil filters, or not my oil filters, my air filters. Jeez, just all over the place. I rotate my air filters so they continuously stay clean. This one actually wasn't too bad. It's just a little bit dirty at the end right there, but for the most part it's actually not too bad. But we're gonna go ahead and clean it anyway, just because it's fairly dry. It's been kind of sitting around all winter, so be better safe than sorry. So here's the last one I cleaned. So we're just gonna go ahead and throw this bad boy in here, make sure it gets all nice and covered. It just smells great. Actually, it does smell pretty good. Has like a nice smell to it, if you like that kind of stuff. Oh, squirted loaf. A little out. Alright. Almost there. So basically I'm just kind of squeezing out the excess, making sure it's pretty good all around. Trying not to get it on the camera. Might have it a little too high, or this tub a little too close to the camera, so hopefully it didn't get none on there. Alright, and now that is done, we're just going to kind of let it dry out a little bit, because it's still a little too moist at this point. And then we'll put this on after we clean the other one. Whoa! Almost dropped that bad boy. I will have to get a little bit more oil, probably by closer towards the end of the season. Fill that bad boy up. Alright. I should have opened this up before. Alright, had to grab a screwdriver. My gloves are massively oiled right now. Staying lid is on there pretty tight. There you go. All right. So I love this little thing to let it dry out a little bit. So I'm just gonna kind of throw it in here, mix it up, get it nice and cleaned. Squish it around. You can already see it's starting to lighten up quite a bit. It's not gonna turn as orange as it was the other one was. I think this one kind of came at like a light blue color to begin with. I don't think it was orange. All right. All right, nice and clean. Let's go ahead and throw this back in there so we can let it dry out. All right, cool. All right, next we just got to go ahead and fit the casing in there, or on it, I should say. I almost feel like this is a little too oiled, to be honest. I mean, nothing's really coming out, so the oil is a little thick today. Might have just been from sitting around a little bit. All right. All right, now we just gotta line this guy up here. All right, now she is ready to go in. I just gotta grease up, put a little bit of lube around the edge. All right, so I just gotta put a little bit of like sealant around there. So not a sealant, I usually put like a lube, like hot bearing lube, just a little bit to help seal it in there. Alright, so now that the oil filter is done, now all we gotta do is take the top end off and work on the valve timing, which is gonna be the longest, most tedious part of this whole situation. We just gotta, you know, put all the little shims in there, make sure everything is gapped properly. So let's go ahead, we gotta take this guy off. Oh man, I hate these tube springs, these tubes. Actually, that wasn't too bad. Actually, okay. I take that back, everything is coming out pretty easy peasy right now. I'm just trying to get these stuff like where it's not going to be in the way. Come on. I always hate these things. Ah, there we go. Always takes a little bit to get it going. There we go. Now, once it come out. Alright, so I think that's probably a good spot to stop for today. Obviously, we didn't do a whole lot today. It probably took 15-20 minutes, but I got other things I got to still do, like take care of the yard and finish cleaning out the garage. So next time when you pop up, it's going to be in a totally different outfit, just because it's going to be a different day. But we're going to finish it up then, because the longest part is just going to be doing the valve timing. That's probably going to take about half hour. So we'll do that, and then we'll put everything back together, maybe touch up the carburetor a little bit, since I have everything kind of torn apart right now. Might be not too bad of an idea to maybe clean it, but it was just cleaned and a full rebuild probably last year, mid last year, so might be a little excess right now, but yeah, we'll see how things go. All right, so we got the top of the cover off to get access to the camshaft and the valves. And then next thing we want to do is get everything set up top dead center. So we're kind of, this might be too bright actually. I don't know if you can actually even see that. Okay, so what we're looking for is that E, and then there's an I right there, but it's pretty hard to see it. And there's also those little tiny dots right there at the end of the sprocket. And then there's one over here as well, which is kind of hard to see. And then we also want to make sure this is lined up as well. Let me go ahead and get that. We want to make sure this is lined up as well. As you can see, there is an I and an H there. So we just pretty much want to line up the I right there with these two marks, which are going to be this one and this one. So once that's top dead center, we can go ahead and check our valve clearances. So what's very helpful a lot of the time is to actually have them written down beforehand, and then from there you can kind of figure out and write down what is what for the intake and then the exhaust. One way to determine which one's the exhaust and intake, exhaust is always towards the back of the bike where the carburetor is connected to, and then the front is usually going to be the intake. Okay, so now that we went ahead and used a feeler gauge to check out the gap between the shims and the clearance, we are going to go ahead and remove the cam chain tensioner. So we can, from there, I might need to actually grab a screwdriver. It helps if you actually have a screwdriver to loosen it up. But basically, this is going to let it so we can take the top end off and we can adjust the shims. So basically, the way the cam chain tensioner works is there's this chain up here. And when you actually take this off, it's always a good idea to use a zip tie to tie it up so that way it doesn't fall in. Because if it falls in, then you are looking at way more work. But this basically is a spring-loaded tensioner. So there's a, with like a, oops. So basically with like a screwdriver, by twisting the screwdriver, you can actually lessen the pressure, as you can see here. And then with that, it puts tension on that chain. And with the tension on there, that way it doesn't like wobble and you lose teeth, so on and so forth. So now we're going to take this top part off and continue on. Alright, so we went ahead, took the top off, got the shims measured out, swapped out. And how did we do that? Well, we use this little formula here. So we got 0.13 plus 1.85 minus 2.0. So 0.13 is going to be our current clearance on the exhaust side. 0.185 is going to be the shim that was in there. And then 0.20, or yeah, 0.20 is going to be the middle of the exhaust, what the specs required. So it's supposed to be anywhere from a 0.17 to a 0.22. So then that gives us the answer on which one we need. Which I don't quite remember which one it was, but I think it's a 1.70. So now we're going to go ahead and put these guys back in there, tighten it down with these pointing in the right direction. So we're going to want the E and the I. Now, I don't know if it autofocuses or not. E and the I in a certain spot. I'll line it up. And then we'll tighten her down and she should be good to go. Alright, so now that we have the top end cover on there and we have the shims set to the proper, or the valve clearance set to the proper level, so we replace the shims. Now all we gotta do is put the tank back on and make sure it runs, and make sure we don't have to do any more adjustments. We might have to tweak the carburetor a little bit just because the engine's going to be running probably a little smoother, so we don't need to run. I think I'm running a little rich right now, so can probably lean it out a little bit. And then after that, we'll just probably end with a little time lapse of cleaning the chain and getting it lubed up.